Based on the RS V4 superbike, the Tuono V4 is phenomenal as a sport naked, and now based on the RS 457, Aprilia has just launched the Tuono 457 in India. Now we've always liked the RS 457 as a proper Italian sports bike, and a sport naked derived from it does sound like a good recipe for fun. But is it really a lot of fun to ride? It's time to find out. Italian motorcycles are meant to look drop-dead gorgeous, but an interesting question today for me is whether the Tuono 457 toes the same line as its siblings, especially the larger ones. Well, for beginners, let's look at the fact that this is the first Tuono to not get a belly pan or tank extensions that look like a quarter fairing. But at the same time, what's also worth noting is the fact that the headlamp uses the same triple headlamp setup, which is a design trait that we've seen on a lot of Aprilia bikes, especially the RS V4 superbike.
The headlamp design is polarizing, but I do like the DRLs and also the spoiler-like duct below it. The bike's overall stance is thus very appealing, as the Tuono 457 has the unmistakable identity of being an Aprilia. As a naked motorcycle, the Tuono also shows off its cast aluminum frame that uses the engine as a stressed member, with the swing arm bolted onto the engine directly, and in my books, this is an ode to Aprilia's prowess in making well-engineered high-performance motorcycles. The Tuono uses the same Batman-inspired tail lamp as the RS 457, but a big and important change is the new fuel tank, as Aprilia has had to redesign the tank given the switch to a taller, single-piece handlebar here as compared to the RS 457's low-set two-piece handlebars. The seats are different too, and at 800mm, the Tuono saddle should be accessible for shorter riders too. The front mudguard is a short one, while the radiator and engine sit tightly packaged behind it, helping the Tuono look muscular, especially in conjunction with the short, underslung exhaust.
Aprilia has also carried over the entire electronic suite from the RS 457. There's no skimping here, which means you get 3 riding modes, dual-channel ABS, traction control that can be switched off, and a 5-inch TFT display. So clearly, there is a lot of value here in terms of the rider aids and the electronics.
Rain mode makes the throttle response very gentle along with maximum intervention from the traction control system, while Eco makes power delivery more progressive, besides also reducing the traction control system's intervention. Sport mode is where power delivery is the most aggressive, along with the least intervention from the electronics, though you can customize traction control settings individually for each mode or even turn it off. And just like on the RS 457, you can switch rear ABS off on the Tuono 457 too.
No prizes for guessing. The Tuono 457 uses the same 457cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine as the RS 457 sports bike, and it's also in the exact same state of tune here. That means you get 47.6 PS and 43.5 Newton meters of torque. The gear ratios though are slightly different because this is a street bike meant to be ridden on the road, so Aprilia has added an extra tooth to the rear sprocket to make the gear ratios shorter, and this has resulted in slightly peppier power delivery, especially at low speeds.
The difference made by the shorter gearing can be felt right from the word go, as the engine offers stronger grunt at lower revs in comparison to the RS 457. Aprilia also claims the Tuono 457 will be quicker than the RS 457 when taking off from standstill for the first 50 meters thanks to its shorter gearing and the resultant stronger engine performance at slow speeds. This has been done keeping in mind the fact that the Tuono 457 will spend more time in traffic and also to suit the bike's character as a fun-to-ride everyday motorcycle. But while this is very impressive, what impressed me even more was the bike's precise fueling, as it makes for throttle responses that are very crisp and very smooth. The engine has a very playful character overall with its kind of power delivery and performance, and what also adds to the joy of riding the Tuono 457 hard is its excellent transmission. Clutch action at the lever is light and the gears slot in precisely with a reassuring click, which feels very satisfying.
But this is a sport naked and an Italian one at that, so how can I not talk about pulling wheelies? And that's because with this kind of performance, the power delivery, the crisp throttle responses, and the overall packaging, the Tuono 457 is also an excellent wheelie machine.
What's also worth noting here is that besides the strong bottom end grunt from the engine that makes clutch and power wheelies both easy, the Tuono 457's precise fueling helps as well, as it makes for excellent throttle control when riding the bike on the rear wheel only.
And besides impressing on one wheel, the Tuono 457 also impresses a lot on both wheels in terms of its ride and handling. And that's thanks to the fact that Aprilia has carried over the suspension setup from the RS 457, which means you get the same 41mm upside down forks and a monoshock at the rear. Both are adjustable for preload, and the suspension settings are such that the bike actually soaks up undulations and bumps well and offers a lot of confidence around corners and at high speeds in a straight line as well.
The suspension effectively plays a significant role in making the Tuono 457 a lot of fun to ride. It offers confidence when changing direction quickly, leaning into corners, or when riding on undulated surfaces. The chassis borrowed from the well-acclaimed RS 457 sports bike does its part in helping the Tuono impress on the handling front too. Along with the Eurogrip tires, the bike is shod with at both ends, which offer excellent grip. And given its curb weight of 175 kilos only, the Tuono is also fairly light for a twin-cylinder machine, which further helps it in terms of agility.
I would have liked some more seat time with this motorcycle today, but whatever time I have got, I have to say this motorcycle impresses a lot. I did expect a few things considering the fact that I have had sufficient seat time with the RS 457 sports bike. And in that sense, this motorcycle did feel very impressive in terms of the power delivery, the suspension setup, the ride and handling that it offers. And then there's the fact that it has been priced at Rs 3.95 lakh ex-showroom, which in my opinion is an excellent starting point, because this effectively is the most affordable Aprilia motorcycle that you can buy today, and itself is definitely a very impressive package too.